report is now here. It has dropped, and it might not have produced everything of what some Republicans hoped for. It is, regardless, devastating to the FBI, and to a degree, it does exonerate Donald Trump.
His goal was to trash premier law enforcement organizations in America and attack the men and women who serve every day at the Department of Justice. The only good news is at least his 4-year taxpayer-funded boondoggle that was funded by working Americans, paying him to walk through the fevered swamps of Trumpism, is over. And Durham has nothing but a tarnished reputation to show for it. But it underlines again the fact, and Willie, if you listen to what people are saying about this report on the Trump right, it underlines the fact that, well, they hate the FBI. They've turned the premier law enforcement organization into a political punching bag that they say they wanted to fund. They wanted to fund the people that protect us from terrorists, that protect us from gangs, that protect us from the people who are actively trying to kill us every day. It's absolutely crazy. And this whole report, what was it to do? It was to trash the FBI. It was to investigate the investigators that went on longer than the underlying investigation. 4 years, millions and millions of dollars, and nothing to show for it but some really bad, humiliating headlines from pro-Trump newspapers.
Devastating to the FBI, and to a degree, it does exonerate Donald Trump.
Let's remember in 2019, the Department of Justice under Donald Trump, the IG there launched its own investigation and said, yes, there were flaws in the way the FBI went about this, but the investigation itself was, in fact, justified. The FBI made changes after that. So when this report came out yesterday, the FBI said, yeah, we know all that. Everything you put in this report was out there. And that's why we made these changes a couple of years ago. So, yes, it is sort of a rehashing. I guess John Durham had to produce something after spending 4 years on this. But it turns out not to be much of anything, really.
Devastating to the FBI, and to a degree, it does exonerate Donald Trump.
The thing that was most remarkable to me about this report is that John Durham did not even actually come out and say that the FBI should not have opened that investigation after George Papadopoulos, the Trump aide, told an Australian diplomat that the Russians had offered to help the Clinton campaign. He didn't even go as far as he did when that Justice Department IG report was released that you mentioned. At that time, if you recall, Durham issued a remarkable public statement, shocking to those of us who cover the Justice Department. Prosecutors don't do this. He issued a public statement saying he disagreed with the IG's conclusion that the investigation was justified. But he seemed to have walked back that conclusion because I didn't see it anywhere explicitly in this report. Now, he does criticize a lot of the ways that the FBI handled this evidence, but really importantly, he doesn't find evidence of political bias, even though there were obviously FBI agents like Pete Strzok who did express bias against Trump. He doesn't find that any of the key decisions were motivated by political bias. He doesn't find corruption. He doesn't find the crime of the century. It was really weak sauce after a $6 million 4-year investigation, leaving a lot of questions behind.
Durham dud.
Devastating to the FBI, and to a degree, it does exonerate Donald Trump.
It's all lies. And the Republicans said it was a direct counterintelligence threat. Nothing new here. But again, at least Durham will stop wasting taxpayers' money. So, David Ignatius, I think Ken Delanian, it's very telling. You know, Ken walks through the report, talks about it soberly, unlike me. God bless him. That's why we have him. But the key point here is that the FBI looked at this and they're like, we saw some of these problems years ago and we've already corrected them because we learned an awful lot in 2016.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants actively participate in the events of January 6th? Yes or no?
Sir, I can't answer that.
The key point here is that the FBI looked at this and they're like, we saw some of these problems years ago and we've already corrected them.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants commit crimes of violence on January 6th?
I can't answer that, sir.
The key point here is that the FBI looked at this and they're like, yeah, well, yeah, we saw some of these problems years ago and we've already corrected them.
Did any FBI agents or FBI informants actively encourage and incite crimes of violence on January 6th?
Sir, I can't answer that.
The key point here is that the FBI looked at this and they're like, yeah, well, yeah, we saw some of these problems years ago and we've already corrected them.
Devastating to the FBI, and to a degree, it does exonerate Donald Trump.